War is never just maps, reports, and breaking news. It's people, waking up every morning without knowing what the next hour will bring. This is the story of two such people. Ivan, a Russian contract soldier, and Dmytro, a Ukrainian rescue worker. Two men who would never have crossed paths in normal life. But war erases borders, both real and imagined, and connects destinies in ways no one expects. This story is not about politics. It's about what remains when the gunfire stops. Ivan was 34. Service had long become a routine for him. Years on remote posts, 2 tours in the Caucasus, endless nights in barracks. When the conflict between Russia and Ukraine escalated, he was sure his deployment would last no more than a month. "I'll be back soon," he told his wife. "Just need to finish this job." But 1 month turned into 6. His unit was stationed on the outskirts of a shattered settlement. Nights were filled with the buzzing of drones, distant artillery, and the quiet tension of men who didn't know what morning would bring. Ivan began to feel a creeping question inside him, something he never voiced. What is all this for? But soldiers rarely ask questions. Soldiers do their job. Dmytro was nothing like Ivan. He was 26, a rescue worker with Ukraine's state emergency service. When missiles first struck his city, he and his team were the ones pulling survivors from under collapsed buildings while sirens howled above them. He didn't want war. All he wanted was for the people around him to stay alive. When the fighting came closer, his evacuation team began working in the gray zone, areas where silence could shatter at any moment. He was stubborn, brave, and often reckless enough for his friends to joke, "Dmytro, one day your luck will run out." But he always came back, until one day, he didn't. It happened just after sunrise. A reconnaissance drone spotted movement along a ruined road. A group of civilians trying to escape the fighting. Ivan's squad was ordered to investigate. When they arrived, they heard faint cries. A hand was sticking out from under a slab of concrete. Someone was still alive. Ivan climbed down to the rubble and saw a vest, bright orange, marked with the letters of the Ukrainian Rescue Service. It was Dmytro. He was unconscious, his leg crushed. Protocol said Ivan should call it in, wait for orders, classify the man as an enemy prisoner. But nothing about war is truly that simple. Ivan heard a single thought in his head: if I leave him here, he'll die. He dropped his gear, grabbed a jack from their vehicle, and started lifting the concrete. 2 soldiers watched in silence. None of them stopped him. When Dmytro finally regained consciousness, he didn't know where he was. Pain radiated through his leg, but Ivan sat nearby, holding a canteen. "Who are you?" Dmytro whispered. "Just a man," Ivan replied. They barely spoke. Too dangerous, too complicated, yet silence can mean more than words. Ivan bandaged his leg, gave him food, and radioed in the coordinates of a safe humanitarian corridor that was supposed to open in a couple of hours. He knew he could face serious consequences for helping someone from the other side, but something inside him had already decided. Enough, he told himself. When a Ukrainian drone began buzzing in the distance, Ivan helped Dmytro crawl to a collapsed bus stop where he'd be harder to spot from above. Just before leaving, Dmytro looked up at him and said quietly, "You saved my life. I don't know how to thank you." Ivan answered simply, "Live, that's enough." A week later, Ivan received something unexpected, a sealed envelope with no return address. Inside was a short note. "Thank you for being human where no one expects humanity anymore. I've had surgery, I'm alive. I hope you are too. D. Ivan didn't feel like a hero. He didn't think he did something extraordinary. He did what any normal man would do outside of war. But on the front line, normality is a luxury. The war continues. Each side has its truth, its pain, its losses. But one day, the conflict will end, and no one will remember who wore which uniform. They'll remember who remained human. Ivan and Dmitro may never meet again, but on a torn piece of land, in a moment carved out between fear and fire, two enemies became two human beings. And sometimes, stories like theirs shape the future more than any negotiation ever could.